Hey guys, East from FGC Academy here. Recently, Capcom released a Season 2 update for Street Fighter V. This includes a slew of changes for the characters, as well as mechanics updates for the entire system of the game. It can be a little bit difficult to sift through the notes that they released, so what we're doing here today is taking a look at some of the more influential changes that you should be on the lookout for Season 2. Let's take a look. Recently at a tournament in Tokyo, Nemo and Itabashi Zangief were talking to each other, and Nemo was asking Itabashi Zangief, how do you feel about the changes that Zangief got going into Season 2? And I really think that Itabashi's answer to him really encapsulates how strong Zangief will be this year. When Nemo asked him that question, Itabashi Zangief just looked at him and gave him the biggest grin without saying a word. And so, taking a look at some of the changes that Zangief got, it really shows how little it takes to make a character go from weak to powerful in this game. Looking at some of the buffs that he got, first of all, his standing medium punch is now +1 frame advantage on hit, so in the past it was +3, now it's +4. And it's also +1 frame advantage on block, so in the past, +1, now +2. This is scary, the block increase, simply because he gets a mix-up into command grab now. So command grab, which is 5 frame startup, if you try to jab him or attack him after a blocked medium punch and he throws you with a command grab, you're likely going to lose and get grabbed. So that's something to be careful of. Giving Zangief, you'll notice, giving Zangief frame advantage is incredibly dangerous for other characters. In addition, his crouching light kick got +1 frame advantage on block, so it, like standing medium punch, is a complete mix-up into his throws, his command grabs. In the past, +1, again +2. Pretty much across the board, looking at some of his special attacks, I think almost every grab got +50 stun, which is really scary to think about. His Siberian Express, I think, is the big one, where he kind of like grabs you, or runs at you and grabs you. That got 50. Every version of that, including the EX version, got +50 stun. Also, his air throw, also received the EX version received 50 stun. So those all went from 200 stun to 250. That's kind of scary. I think that's a quarter of your life or your stun bar, if not more, for some characters. In addition, his Lariat attack, which really didn't see much use in Season 1, is much better this year. If you hit with it on an earlier frame, so in certain combo situations, he gets +20 damage. So kind of at the beginning of the attack, he gets an additional 120. If you hit later during the spin of his Lariat, you'll only get 100 damage. However, if you combo into it and they're close to you, you do receive some reward for that. In addition, it has a bigger hitbox, and now, whereas in Season 1 you couldn't duck, you could duck under it, that's no longer possible. If you duck and try to hit Zangief, you'll be hit out of it. It now hits crouchers. And also, his forward heavy punch gains the critical art meter when it absorbs a fireball. So if you're not aware, Zangief can do his kind of headbutt attack, and if it hits a projectile, a one-hit projectile, it nullifies it. In Season 2, when it nullifies the fireball, he also gains more critical art meter, which is a nice buff for him. It allows him to put some thought of fear into characters who are just going to throw fireballs mid-range at him. And looking at the nerfs that he got, which honestly weren't many at all, his crouching light punch lost advantage on hit, so now it's +4 on hit, whereas it was +5 before. And his standing heavy punch, the kind of like the move you can kind of hold to charge and then throw out a kind of like huge haymaker, in the past it was kind of tough to hit his feet, and in this Season 2, it'll be much easier to do that. The lower hitbox, or the lower hurt box for that attack will appear faster. Also another random change. He did see a damage reduction in his heavy punch and EX piledriver command grabs. So before they did 240, now they do 220. Although to kind of make up for that, Capcom did reduce the distance that Zangief lands after he hits, so he's more likely to follow up in pretty much every throw situation or command grab situation now. I really think that Zangief is going to be a strong character. In Season 1, I mean, he wasn't strong, but a lot of people agree that he was a moving wall. And now that he's a moving wall with frame advantage and much stronger throws and more combo opportunities, I think that the usability of Zangief and the amount of damage output he gets is going to be much higher. So Dhalsim. Let me first start off by saying that if you're a Dhalsim player out there, I really have a lot of respect for you, because Dhalsim is a character who doesn't play in a traditional style, and he's very, very strange to a lot of people, and so it takes a different kind of thinking to play him versus using any other character in the game. But man, when I see Dhalsim get buffs, my eyes just glaze over. In Season 1, Dhalsim was a probably mid-tier character, and going into Season 2, he definitely got a lot of good buffs I think are going to be beneficial to him in the long run. Just to start it off, he got additional HP. So before 900, now 925. Not a huge jump, but I'm sure that any more HP than you had in Season 1 is greatly appreciated by any character. So, in addition, he did get faster ground normals, so standing light kick, standing heavy punch, standing heavy kick. Taking a look here, standing light kick was increased, the startup was increased by 1 frame, so now it's a 4-frame move instead of 5 frames. Standing heavy punch, actually it sped up by 4 frames, so in the past it was a 20-frame move, now it's 16. Although that's a little bit misleading. Excuse me, I dug a little bit deeper and I found out that while the move does start up and the first hit comes out on frame 16, he doesn't hit at that range completely across the screen. So he doesn't reach the full length of the attack, or the full range of the attack, until about frame 18. So it still takes a little bit of time to reach the opponent if they're maybe 3/4 of the screen away. And finally, his standing heavy kick was reduced by 1 frame, so from 16 to 15. In addition, it did get a buff. It's like plus 7 frames of hit on advantage. So when you hit someone in the past, it was -3. Now he's plus 4. And that move also cancels in the critical art. And while I can't, off the top of my head, see any huge boon to a Dhalsim player for that, I'm sure that there's a way to set up critical arts with the opponents far away from you with that move. Maybe on crush counter. Something to test if you're a Dhalsim player. Looking at his other buffs, his back medium punch was overall improved. It got plus frame advantage on hit, so now it's plus 4 instead of plus 3. Plus 1 frame advantage there. Plus 1 frame advantage on block as well. So from 0 to plus 1 on block. So he's at advantage if the opponent blocks that move. And also it has a bigger backward hitting hurt box. So he kind of does that long lunge into the sky. Now you're more likely to hit people who are a little bit behind you, whereas in the past that move could completely miss on someone who was just behind your head. Now it'll likely hit them. And maybe one of his biggest buffs was the fact that in the past, if you just saved your V reversal, when Dhalsim did V trigger, you could just use V reversal and completely nullify it. That's no longer possible. Dhalsim's V trigger, in addition, it burns opponents who are knocked down on the ground. So if they decide not to tech up against Dhalsim, they take more white damage because of the burns from V trigger. And also it activates faster, and that's the reason that people cannot knock him or stop the V trigger now. So by the time you do your V reversal, the move is already out, and Dhalsim Dhalsim can't be knocked out of it because it's already activated. Taking a look at some of his nerfs, his teleport invincibility was slightly changed, and I'm going to save you a lot of trouble in looking at how this move interacts with other attacks, because the frames, from certain frames he gets certain invincibilities. Basically all you need to know is that in the past you could throw him in the beginning of this move, so from frames 1 to frames 3 you could throw him. That was increased by 1 frame, so now he is throwable for 1 more frame, which is in this case a nerf. Looking at some of his jumping attacks, his jumping heavy punch now has a smaller hitbox, kind of that yoga sniper in the sky, and in addition it is much slower. So taking a look here, in the past it was 7 frames of startup, now it's plus 9. Excuse me, it's 9 frames of startup, not plus 9, excuse me. Continuing on, his standing light punch, it was a really good anti-air, really fast, and it hit in a really great way. Now, going into Season 2, you won't be able to get the mix-up off of like doing an anti-air and then dashing in, and Dhalsim mains really shouldn't be angry about this. This is a change that pretty much went across the board for a lot of characters, or most characters, so to speak. So losing this doesn't make him any weaker than anyone else who could do it in Season 1. And finally, he got a lot of changes, mostly hurt box changes on a lot of his key normals. Taking a look here, standing light punch actually got a bigger hurt box, just because Capcom is trying to get people to stop using crouching heavy, or excuse me, to stop using light punches as anti-airs, and this is kind of one of the byproducts of that. Although Dhalsim still functions as an anti-air, there are some times where you will get hit, so it's maybe to your advantage to use other moves at certain ranges. In addition, his standing heavy punch has a bigger hurt box. We talked about that move before, saying that you could do the move and it comes out on frame 16, but it's fully extended at frame 18. Going back and revisiting that, it should be known that the hurt box extends fully on 16 frames, but not the hitbox. So you can be hit before the move reaches your opponent, if that makes sense. That's something you should be careful about if you're a Dhalsim main. Also, his crouching light kick has a bigger hurt box. Those kind of sliding moves, now they have a higher hitbox, so he can be hit out of it if the opponent tries to jump in and he tries to slide away at the wrong range or the wrong timing. In addition, his crouching medium kick, like I said before, those kind of sliding moves did get bigger hurt boxes above, so they're more likely to lose to jumping attacks. So yeah, Dhalsim, a character who was okay in Season 1, just because he plays in a different way than the game really wants you to kind of fight your opponents. I mean, of course, he does have a kind of he does have a lot of offensive pressure. In Season 1, Dhalsim was certainly a character you could play at the mid-range in some cases, and also go in when you needed to, when you got a knockdown, to apply pressure to your opponent. Going into Season 2, I really think that those options, both of them, have been strengthened. He did lose his standing light punch anti-air, a little bit of that capability, and he also lost the mix-up, which I think will hurt him in the short run, but in the long term I think the buffs, more frame advantage, better hitboxes, faster hitboxes, and especially the V-trigger buff will really serve him to maybe make him a better character going into Season 2. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Let me know what you thought about the changes so far in the comments below. Also, let us know what characters you'd like to see next. So we are trying to get these out as soon as possible, hopefully finishing up the entire cast in about 2 or 3 weeks. So let us know who you want to see next. Thanks, take care, keep on fighting.